Hey toy fans, hope you're having a good day. Today we're going to check out the 6-inch Black Series Death Squad Commander. So let's head to that table and check them out. This is of course the 40th anniversary line, so at the top part here on the left side you got the 40th anniversary logo with the vintage look of the Star Wars logo and the racetrack around the sides, and the very same photo that was used on the vintage card of a Death Squad Commander in the background. And obviously you do see the figure in full view in that bubble packaging. Flipping over to the back side, again, everything is the same as the rest of the 6-inch Black Series figures on this 40th anniversary line. Everything calls back to that vintage style with the look at the other figures that were available in the line with the different colors in the background. And bottom half of the card does just have all the various legal information and such. Taking a look at the figure out of the packaging, and this is just a fantastic looking figure, but we're going to go ahead and get this out of the way, and that is, obviously, this figure is dressed in black, head to toe. The Death Squad Commander that we received in the vintage line was in that gray uniform, as he was in the movie. It's a little bit harder to tell in that still shot on the front of the packaging, but nevertheless, it is a gray uniform. He even has headphones on that this figure doesn't, and the figure we received is much closer to being a Death Star Trooper, in my opinion, than a Death Squad Commander. Also, the front of the uniform is different. As you can see on the photo on front of the packaging here, that seam runs down the center of the jacket or just a little off center, where the Death Star Trooper or the figure that we received here doesn't have that seam running down the center of his front. But that's all I'm going to say on that. This is still a fantastic looking figure. Starting first, we'll take a look at the figure with the helmet on. This is a removable helmet. His helmet does look very nice with nice little details on whatever these things are on the sides of the head straps. And where the second layer of helmet would be, like where all these little Swiss cheese holes are. That chin strap even has some nice detailing in there where you can kind of see that, strap that would be looped through. I mean, it is all one solid piece, but still it does have some dimension to it. And taking that helmet off and looking at the actual head sculpting of this figure, it's a pretty decent head sculpt. I mean, it looks like it could be anyone. There's not a lot going on with the hair detailing. I mean, it looks like it's probably short hair, but most likely that's to help the helmet fit better on the head. The paint job along the hairline does look pretty good. I'd say maybe it's a little higher around the ears. At the base of his neck, that paint line isn't entirely clean through there. It doesn't seem like they got all the way down with that skin tone color, but once you have the helmet back on, it's really not all that noticeable. And otherwise, for a change, the eyebrow painting looks good, and even the eyes look pretty spot on to me. As for the rest of the figure neck down, he is pretty much molded in that black plastic, but the sculpting of the chest area looks good, the detailing of the fabric throughout the front. You can kind of see that collar underneath the neck area has that little split to it in the front. The Imperial logo on his left arm, while painted on nicely, very nice clean lines to it, does seem to be off-center to me. It's painted more on the back of the shoulder, at least on mine, than where I feel like it should be. Even the holster on this figure does look very nice. You can tell that, I mean, it's plastic, but it definitely has a leather look to it. Lots of just that stressed wrinkles in there. Each glove on his hand does have a little silver paint buckle detailing in there. That does look very nice. And then, of course, the silver on his belt that you see there with those 3 pouches. And as for the bottom half of the figure, the legs and the boots, I mean, there's not much to speak of. Like I said, it's all molded black plastic, but everything does look good through there as well. Now, depending on your point of view, this figure could come with just one accessory, or you could consider it 2 because that helmet is removable. I kind of consider it a second accessory. Looking first at the gun though, surprisingly he comes with a Rebel Trooper blaster. Off the top of my head I can't remember what guns they used in the movies, but I don't think it would have been this one for that trooper. But nevertheless, this is what we received, and it's still a good looking weapon. Not much paint detailing to it. You got the silver on the front of the barrel there, and the rest of it is done in more of this dark gray color. It's not a black gun, but the weapon does look like it's very well sculpted to me. His trigger finger on that right hand does fit nicely around the trigger of the weapon. And as I mentioned, he does have the holster on his right side, and that gun does slide nicely in there. And just to show that helmet coming on and off, I mean, it slides off quite nicely. That chin strap does hold it in place, no problem. And getting it back on is pretty easy. And getting into the articulation, if you're going to turn the head, it's going to be best to do it without the helmet or try and grab both at the same time and then turn. So for now, we'll just get that taken off. So that head does swivel around pretty nice. Really not much swiveling side to side to speak of. And that neck does hinge down. So he looks down pretty good. Good range of motion to look up. At the shoulder area, as expected, the arms do raise up and then of course swivels around. At the elbow area, You got that single joint there that bends up and comes back down straight. And then it swivels at the top of that elbow. As for the wrist area, obviously you got your swiveling around, and that's the same for both hands. And also surprisingly, usually this left hand, the non-weapon hand, would go side to side, but instead this goes up and down. And it's got a decent range of motion, but if you want him to try and hold that weapon in this pose or bring the gun up, he just doesn't have that wrist articulation going down to help lift that up and still hold on. And that right wrist also has the up and down articulation. And in both cases, kind of because of the way this buckle comes out over the sleeve, your upward motion is just a little bit limited. Getting to the waist area, I mean, he does swivel around there just above the belt. It's got a little bit of crunch forward, just a tiny bit back. Nothing happening side to side. As for the legs, his uniform is split on the sides here. He does have a little bit of a rounded butt, so when you bring your legs forward and back, no problem going forward, but that back is going to kind of roll out on you. Of course, you can bring your legs out sideways. Let's get them back front. And then at the top of the thigh, you do have that rotation through there. The knee joint is double jointed, tight there, but no problem bringing that leg up otherwise. It's got the motion, or the range rather. And then for the foot area, you can bring that foot forward and back. And then you have that rotation on the front of the ankle as well. So that about wraps this one up. You know, aside from the gray uniform, black uniform, to me this still fits in as a Death Star Trooper as I mentioned. And I still love this figure. I think it's fantastic. If you're an army builder, you could definitely get yourself a bunch of these and, you know, it's just going to fit right in. Hopefully some of the other military type characters aren't too far behind. The Death Star Gunners would be great. Rebel Troopers would be fantastic. So that wraps up this look at the Death Squad Commander. Let me know your thoughts on this figure in the comments section below. And as always, thanks for watching.